Hi guys, it's Miss Wood. When you come back, when you or we come back from spring break, it's going to be a little bit different. I've been asked to help more with English 1, and that means that I'm not going to be there in class with you to help you get your annotated bibliography done. So what I'm doing is making a series of videos that are going to help you make sure that you complete it and that you know what to do. You're going to have a sub in the room with you, and they're going to make sure that you are doing your work. Okay, so don't take this as free time. You're going to be expected to act like college students and lock in and do your work. I'll still be available through Remind and through Google Classroom to help you out. Like always, I'm just not going to be there in the room with you. So this video is going to show you how to take what you did on the annotated bibliography guidebook and the planner, and you're going to take that and take those parts that you wrote out and make them into your annotations for your annotated bibliography. Okay. So if you did what you were supposed to do and you got all 6 of your sources and you have read them and filled out your planner, then you are in a very good spot. Okay. So let me share my screen and I'm going to show you how to take what you've done and turn it into your bibliography. Okay. So here's my exemplar. Now, I didn't do all of them, but I did do 3 that I can show you. So up here, I have the citation. I'll do it big so you can see. I have my citation. I've already done it. I did the thesis. Now, sometimes you might have to write the thesis in your own words if the author didn't explicitly state it. If they did, you can just copy and paste it here. I rephrased it for them. um, a summary of the argument, a summary of the argument here. And then here is how they use style, diction, and tone, where you're looking at how does the author make their argument. And then we have ethos, pathos, logos, and then kairos is here. So kairos, remember, is one that a lot of us got feedback on our rhetorical analysis. Kairos is why are we writing right now? Why is this important at this particular moment in time? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. And let me make a copy of this um, so that you guys will have one that you can do. Okay, so remember, this is still an MLA format, and what I've done is kind of put the things that you need here. I have not done it in double space yet, so let me make sure I do that. All right, double space. Now, first in your bibliography is going to be a headnote. We're not doing that yet. We're not doing that until the next step. Right now, we're going to focus on our citations. So if you have done what you're supposed to do, you should have a citation already here, and you're just going to copy it and paste it. Now, I can see this. It is not in MLA format, so I'm going to make sure that it's at least 12-point font. And then let me zoom in on this so you guys can see. Remember how to do this indentation. You're going to grab that little arrow, move it over to 0.5, and then move that bar back over to 0. All right, so now we have our first citation. It looks pretty good. And now I'm going to use what I've got here and put it into my annotation. Now remember, the annotation not only explains the author's argument, but how are you going to use it in your own text? So what I've got here is this. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to say Tim Wu in his 2026 editorial in the New York Times titled, and then I'm going to have to go back and recopy, but I don't want to write all of that over again. Product. Now I'm going to put my verb. So he argues that Now I'm going to have to go back over here and recopy it. Social media platforms should not be treated solely as protected speech, but as hazardous products whose design harms users, especially young people, and therefore should be subject to legal accountability. So let me make sure that this is in the right size. Okay. All right. So I have my first sentence here. Now remember, you have to introduce the author, the title of their piece, where it was published, and then what their main idea is. Now, and then after I talk about him the first time, I use his first, his last, and last name. After that, I'm just going to call him by his last name. You never call them by the first name because y'all are not friends, okay? So Wu supports his claim through the use of ethos, pathos, and logos. And I'm going to skip here. He uses primarily logos in this. So the way that I'm going to do some synthesis on here is saying that he reasons that the design features intentionally drive addiction and then say it causes pathos, and then he references legal cases. So he references legal cases in or scholars. I could say like he represents, or I'm sorry, I just saw the word represents there. Um, he uses scholarly research to demonstrate that the design intentionally drives addiction, which harms uh, teenage mental health. Bam. Now I've got all three in there. Boy shows and harms teenagers' mental health. Again, I need to make sure I've got my consistent text here. And harm. Okay. Wu supports his claim through the use of ethos, path, and logos by citing scholarly research that shows how design features intentionally drive addiction and harm teenagers' mental health. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is go back up here and go a little bit deeper into his specific claim. So it's not just that it harms mental health, but that it's designed to do that. It's designed to get people addicted, and addiction is never good for our mental health. So I'm going to use one of my paragraphs from here. This is kind of the center of his argument. He explains that features such as algorithmic recommendations, infinite scroll, autoplay, and intermittent rewards are engineered, designed to keep users engaged beyond their control. This, he argues, moves social media beyond passive hosting into active manipulation. It sounds almost like we should regulate gambling in a sense. So, and then I'm going to add his conclusion on here. I'm not going to put every single thing. Now, if you really like what you wrote, you can definitely put a lot, but remember, I think on this one we have a 10-page limit, so you don't want to say too much. Ultimately, Wu concludes that redefining social media as a product rather than speech will allow courts and society to hold companies accountable for the harm they cause. So this is a definition argument because he's saying that social media is not a free speech venue, but social media is a product, and products can be regulated. And so his argument is in the what is social media realm. And so I want to point that out, and I want to say how I'm going to use his argument in my own argument. So remember, this is how this article supports your article or your claim. When you're having an argument, you don't just want to come in by yourself. You want to have all your supporters with you and say, look, not just me, but they think the same thing. So these are the people who are, or the opinions that are going to support your argument. So, Wu is constructing a definition argument and claims that redefining. Why are you doing it in an 11-point font? I want you to be 12-point font. This supports my own argument by demonstrating the harms social media does to its users and advocates not for banning, but for, I'm just going to say regulation again. Regulation and tighter scrutiny. I plan to adopt his definition of social media and use it to prove that rather than being a platform for expression, it is actually an entertainment. I'm just going to use the word product here. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect, right? We're just trying to get words on the screen. We're just trying to get something written. So now I have my citation and an annotation. All right. Now I'm not going to leave you one and done. I'm going to show you another one, okay? So let me go back to my planning document. I have an opposition, but I'm going to show you the contextualizing document next because I think this is one where we struggle a little bit, A, on what a contextualizing document is, and then B, how are we going to use it in our essay. So first I'm going to show you the one that I selected for this argument is that it's from the Pew Research Center. So remember, you're going to be using a law case, history, statistics, reports. This is a statistics document. So what they do is they take polls of people and then they put that into a report and say, here's what we found that people say. So this one is within my time range. Remember, we can do 2016 or more recent. So this one's very recent. It's from 2025. Most teens credit social media with feeling more connected to friends. Still, roughly 1 in 5 say social media hurt their mental health, and growing shares think they harm people their age. So even though they like it, there's still some very big negatives. So I've read this already, and then here's kind of my summary of it. It looks at how teens and parents perceive their relationships between social media and teen mental health. And then based on this survey data, they say that 48% of teens believe that social media has negative effects on people their age, and that's up from just a few years ago. At the same time, they're less likely to say social media harms them personally. So this is an interesting effect if you ever get a chance to look at this in other areas, but people will say, oh, yeah, that's harmful, but not for me. People say this with politicians as well. They're like, oh, yeah, politicians suck, but the guy I vote for, he's really good. So this is an interesting phenomenon, and I'm just kind of going off topic a little bit, but um, I think it's interesting to say, so why would somebody say it's bad for other people, but you're fine? Um, is this an effect of the social media, or is this how people perceive themselves? That's kind of getting off topic a little bit. I just thought that was interesting. Both positive and negative impacts of social media. On the negative, it hurts their sleep, it hurts their productivity, it hurts their mental health. With girls are more likely than boys to report these effects. On the positive, 74% of teens say social media helps them feel connected to friends and say it allows them to express creativity. Additionally, the report shows that 45% of teens believe they spend too much time on social media, and many are attempting to reduce usage. Findings emphasize that while social media plays a meaningful role in teen life, the effects are complex and vary by individual experience. So, how are we going to use this to make our citation and annotation? All right, first things first is we're going to do our MLA citation. So again, I've already done it, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. I'm going to make sure we're all the right size. And then again, remember you drag the little triangle, move it over to 0.5, and then move the bar back to 0. Okay, so now I've got my second citation. Now, for those of you who remember MLA, what's the first thing we notice here? This one starts with an F, but the one that we did before starts with a W. So in a bibliography, we're always going to put them in alphabetical order. So I'm going to move this one above the other one. Okay, the other thing I forgot to do, which is important, is to title it. So this one is my oh my gosh, I can't spell. Editorial article. I'm going to put that in bold. This one is my contextualizing document. Okay. Now, we're going to do kind of what we did before, and we're going to see what we can copy and paste that we've already done. This is why I ask you guys to work as you go, because if you just save it all to the end, you're going to give yourself more work in the long run. So we can just copy this first paragraph and see how that looks. Ooh, and I want to make sure that it's double spaced and that it's 12-point font. There we go. You know what? I'm just going to use this whole thing. We got a T. Let's put that in there. Okay, so I've already read all that. So now I'm going to say, how am I going to use this in my article? Or in, I keep saying article, in my own essay. This document is valuable because it reflects not only the current attitudes of teenagers toward social media, but also demonstrates how those attitudes have changed in recent years. This data will be important in establishing how ubiquitous, ooh, ubiquitous is such a good word. Ubiquitous means it's everywhere. How ubiquitous, now don't ask me how to spell it. Oh, I got it right. Okay. Ubiquitous social media is in the lives of teenagers as well as the recognition of its harmful effects. This will provide a strong groundwork for my argument that social media should be more regulated, since it proves that it is already well established in the everyday lives of Americans. Bam. All right, now I got 2 citations. Oh, all right, so now you see kind of what we're doing. Make sure you've got your formatting right. And if you start off with the template that I'm going to give you, you're going to be fine. We have our title for our entry. We have the MLA citation, and we have our summary and how we're going to use it. I'm going to delete some of these here. We have our title, our MLA citation, the summary, and then how we're going to use it. Now, you're going to keep going with your other ones. So remember, just because they're the sources are in a certain order on here does not mean that's the order they're going to go in here. They're going to be in alphabetical order. Okay, so here's my quick tutorial on how to use your planning document to make your annotated bibliography. This is what I expect you guys to be working on and to have mostly done by the end of the week, because our essays are going to be due next week. So we need to be able to work on our head note Monday and Tuesday and be done with everything. And I'll explain more about the head note in the next video. If you need help, message me on Remind, catch me in the hallway. I'm probably not going to be in my room very much this week, but I'm going to be over in Mr. Diaz's room, which I believe is 216. It's the one that's painted red on the inside. You can catch me there. You can send me comments on Google Classroom. That's fine. I'll respond to those as I see them. If I don't respond, message me on Remind. I'm definitely going to respond there. Okay, so remember, ask for help. Do not be on the struggle bus alone. Do not procrastinate. Okay, this is due, and I'm not going to be as available to help you. All right, but I know that you guys can do it. Everybody's got really great arguments. You've got great plans, and you've got great ideas. So let's just do the work and get it done. All right, bye.